Sigue en sintonía de nuestra programación.
Ahora empieza su programa, el show del doctor Roy Aranda. Temas sobre los efectos que tiene la separación de los niños de sus padres, traumas que afrontan los indocumentados, violencia doméstica, el porqué de la violencia en las escuelas. Llámanos en vivo al 1-888-900-2811, extensión 6, y haz tus preguntas al aire. ¡Comenzamos!
Okay, good evening, La Tribuna TV viewers. Here we are again on Halloween. Today is October 31st, Halloween. Queridos televidentes a la Tribuna Hispana, bienvenidos a todos. Estamos hoy día, el día, bueno, yo lo llamo Halloween, es el octubre 31 y estamos aquí visitándolos. Hoy tenemos un programa muy interesante. Les aviso, I'm going to tell you ahead of time that the show is being recorded. Está grabado en vivo on YouTube, so it's being recorded live on YouTube. And by tomorrow, the recording will be available on Vimeo, Facebook, La Tribuna TV's website, and other electronic, platforms. So ya mañana el show estará publicado en La Tribuna Hispana, Vimeo, Facebook, YouTube y en otros medios de comunicación electrónica. So the topic for today, and I'm somewhat delighted actually that it's October 31st, because I was looking around and I see all these children. It's very windy here. It's very stormy. I hope that where you are it's okay and that you're nice and safe. But I'm so delighted to have children. They come to my house, and I'm always delighted to give them candies, and they're wearing all of these outfits, and of course the show today, Pets in My Family, Mascotas en Mi Familia. Well, I saw a lot of children wearing these wonderful bee outfits and things like that, and I have a special guest. I have two guests and a very special guest, so I'll share the special guest momentarily, but I did want to tell you that tonight we have a colleague from New York State Psychological Association of mine, Dr. Patti Cox, and she is a psychologist and she is a pet lover. A requirement for not all viewers, but certainly all my guests today are to be pet lovers. So, Patti, I'm going to take the liberty of calling you, either Dr. Patti or Patti. I'm going to switch it back and forth. But she is certainly a pet lover, and when I was thinking of doing this show, she was like the first or second person to respond, and she showed me pictures of her beautiful babies that we are going to show off on the show as well. And I'll let her, talk about that a little bit when we get to that portion of the show. I also have here a previous guest, former guest of ours, Constantinos is his full Greek name, Constantinos Mihelis, and you're going to owe me a gyro after this. And we call him Kaz, for short. Also, it fits on the screen. Constantinos would never make it. But he was a guest in June, and quite briefly, just to mention, Kaz is a former roofer, bodybuilder, entrepreneur. He's had a number of companies that he has started, and he initiated very initiative, very kind, friendly person. And he was in a life-threatening accident that he fell literally flying from a roof 3 stories high, and I think that the supervisor or the boss that was with you that day, he perished, and Kaz, who happens to be very religious, and I think that that's great. He attributes his faith to having had something to do with saving him, but also his incredible physique had a lot to do with his surviving, and the post-traumatic experience, emotional and physical, that he survived after that, and the many, it was years, literally years, surgical procedures and treatments. To get to where he is now is nothing short of a miracle, and consistent with the theme for today, Pets in My Life. Kaz has his baby, Icy, who has been instrumental in providing him emotional support. So what I had wanted to do now is to welcome Dr. Patti Cox to the show. Welcome, and I wanted to say
thank you.
I wanted to say a few things about her. You'll bear with me. I'm reading off of my phone. You know, fortunately, I got the abbreviated CV. I knocked it down to about 3 pages. Otherwise, it would have been voluminous. But basically, Dr. Patti Cox, she's a licensed psychologist. She's certified group psychotherapist, and she received her PhD in counseling psychology from the University of Missouri, Columbia. She completed her doctoral internship at Duke University in a postdoctoral fellowship, so that's very significant. Most people, they think, oh, you know, you have a doctoral degree and you're this and you're that, or you have an MD, you have a PhD, and they don't realize that you go beyond that. Some people excel and go actually beyond that, and she has a postdoctoral fellowship, which is probably a few more years beyond the doctoral degree at the University of Rochester School of Medicine. Dr. Cox has specialized training in group psychotherapy. She's certified by the National Registry of Certified Group Psychotherapists, working from a modern psychoanalytic framework. She has been leading groups since 1980. She teaches courses in group psychotherapy, presents workshops on group therapy topics. She is a clinical member of the Eastern Group Psychotherapy Society, having served formerly as president and longtime member of the board of directors. Dr. Cox also has clinical memberships in the American Group Psychological Association, New York State Psychological Association, which is how I've come to know her. She practices in Manhattan, where she works with individuals, couples, groups. And this is the important part, okay? Most importantly, her 2 Portuguese water dogs, Finn and Rory, occupy seats in her consulting room, adding to the sense of warmth and safety that facilitate patients' work. So welcome, Patti, and why don't you tell us a few more words about yourself?
Thank you, Roy. Thank you for inviting me to the program. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
By the way? Good. And it's very nice to meet you, Kaz, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about you and Icy.
Thank you.
Well, I have had animals my whole life, you know, and thinking about what I would say about myself. I remember I had so many, mostly dogs in my life, but when I was school age, I actually had horses. And there's a family folklore that I was riding a horse before I could walk. And of course, we have these pictures in the family of me atop this big horse, and I'm, just this little thing. So animals have played a big part of my life, all of my life. And I'm always eager to talk about my canine family, particularly with kindred spirits like yourselves, who also love animals. Shall I say a little bit about Finn and Rory, or?
We're going to get to that in a moment.
Okay, all right.
All right. So, Oscar, por favor, first slide. We have 10 slides, as usual, for those of you who watch the show. I provide slides hoping that they are educational. Again, you can the program is being recorded, so you can always record it, look at it at your leisure, and you can certainly freeze frame and take photos of slides that are of interest to you. I did want to share with you what my inspiration for this show was. Why did I decide to do this? And I'm a longtime pet lover. In fact, I've loved animals, all animals, and Cause, you can attest to that because I send you photos of insects and every little crawling creature in my backyard.
Absolutely.
So I've loved animals for as long as I can remember. I've had the following pets in my life, and I realize that there's people that have had far more than this, but just to give you an idea, dogs, cats, parrots. I have a macaw right now, Paco. Parakeets, a rat. When I was in college studying experimental psychology, I felt badly, and I took the rat with me and became my pet. Mice, a boa constrictor. Yup, I had to try that one out. A tarantula, I wanted to try that one out too. Hamsters, turtles. The tarantula was very interesting because my wife had no idea that they molt, and on one occasion she thought that the tarantula duplicated and that I had to. But that doesn't happen. And turtles. I enjoy watching bees, hummingbirds, many birds, little creatures in my backyard. In some ways, I think that I am a pet whisperer. I've never been stung by a bee. I've never been bitten by anything. Somehow, I guess we just take to one another. The proliferation of movies, commercials, news stories involving pets inspired me to do this show. So I was very inspired by movies like A Dog's Purpose and all of these incredible movies and commercials that are taking place, and the NFL now having a comfort animal, the San Francisco 49ers. So all of these are marvelous and inspiring to me. Slide 2, por favor. So this show in particular, we're going to focus on people and their pets. All of us here, well, Kaz has a dog, Patti dogs. I have a turtle, 3 dogs, and a macaw. So certainly the show is really geared towards people and their love for all kinds of pets. How they feel about their pets, the joy that pets bring us, the curative, meaning the health, beneficial value that pets bring us, the mental health benefits that they bring to us. Pets fulfill many functions. They are guardian angels looking over us sometimes, companions to the elderly and disabled, provide service and comfort. They assist canine and rescue. They play a valuable role in the military. I'm sure you're aware recently the German Shepherd that was injured in a, I think it was Sunday, in a mission that took place on Sunday. So dogs are trained. In fact, this is something new to me. I only learned about this fairly recently, that dogs are trained to smell, detect cancer. Many have saved infants from peril. They've alerted about a fire or an intruder. So it's remarkable the interaction we have with pets. It's a shared symbiotic kind of a relationship that we have. So what I wanted to do now is actually share with the viewers some of our own babies. So por favor, slide 3. La tercera. So here, these are my own babies. These are Doc's pets. Ginger is a 6-pound Chihuahua, top left. Little Pookie is a toy Yorkie, 8 pounds, top right. Beneath them, Coco is a full-size terrier, and Gina is my 30 or somewhat year-old box turtle. And I did say that I have a surprise for you. So, puedes sacar el slide. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. I have a very special guest. Here is little Pookie. She decided that she wanted to come and see all of you, and she is wearing her Halloween bumblebee outfit. So she was not trick-or-treating, but she was greeting trick-or-treaters, and she knows cause, and she's a real sweetheart. And say hello. You're happy to be here. I know that you are very happy to be here, and you have all sorts of comments for everybody. Yes? Okay. So,
Roy, she's adorable.
So give me a little kiss. Okay. So let's put you back and take a little nap now. So that's the special guest that I have for you. Puede poner the slide 4. Okay, so these are your babies, Patti. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about them, what they mean to you personally and in your practice. You have blended them in different aspects of your life.
Right. Well, I want to explain this picture on the right. That's Rory getting ready to jump off a boat. Portuguese water dogs were originally bred in Portugal to help ship captains. They protected the ships. They jumped overboard to retrieve articles from the sea. They herded fish into the nets. They pulled the nets in. They took messages back and forth between the ships. So they really were the ship captain's helpmate. And so what I do, one of the things I do with my Portuguese water dogs is we do water work. And these are exercises that simulate these early tasks that they were originally bred to do. So Rory is getting, in this picture, she's getting ready to jump off the boat to go retrieve something in the water. And you can, I love this picture because you see how athletic she is, and you know she's ready to go. She's poised and ready to jump. But you know, when I first got Finn, my older girl, I had no idea about all of this. So I've learned along the way, and so that's one of the things they mean to me personally. Is I've really gotten involved in a lot of they are my hobby because we do water work, we do obedience work, we do agility. So,
well, so you really do a lot of exercising and a lot of actual formal training.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, I do a lot. We do a lot of formal training, but on a personal level, you know, at the end of the day, it's great to get out of the office and walk them, you know, just to unwind from the day, and of course, cuddling at night with them is also helps to unwind. And I think living in New York City, you know, this is a huge place, needless to say, and people can feel anonymous. But people with dogs, it really facilitates people meeting each other. And fortunately, we live very close to Central Park, so we can go to the park often and interact with other dog people with their dogs. And it really is like a community. So I think that's another thing that dogs do for people who live in the city. It's a way to connect with other people. I think the funny thing is, people often know each other's dogs' names long before they know the humans' names. So, and professionally, you know, I talk with people. Finn turned 10 last month, so I've had her for 10 years, and she's been in my session since she was 8 weeks old. Of course, I don't.
She's the one that was on the therapist's couch. You sent me a photo.
Yes, exactly. She was the one napping on the couch. And I don't bring her in immediately, but I ask people as we work together what's their relationship with dogs, how they would feel about a dog coming into the session. So she's not in every session, but a lot of people seem to feel safer and more comfortable with Finn in the session. And I think it affects how they even see me, you know, that I have this dog, they see how I take care of my dogs, and I think it enables them to feel more trusting of me.
I think they feel less vulnerable.
Say again?
They feel less vulnerable.
Yes. So I think she's a great adjunct to people's work. She's also in group therapy with me, and let me just say a little bit about how Finn can be so helpful in a group. Typically, she will, at the beginning of a group session, she'll go around and say hello to everybody. Then she goes and gets in her chair and falls asleep. But from time to time, she will get out of her chair in the midst of a group session and go kind of check in on someone. And the group has learned to get curious about that. It's like, okay, what's Finn doing up now? And why is she so interested in you? What's going on here? And it really helps facilitate the group. And they have come to trust her, and I think they look at her really as the co-therapist of the group. So,
well, but they sense things. I mean, they sense sadness. They sense that somehow, and I've seen photos of this. I've seen pictures and videos of this, like a dog sensing that someone was hurting, and they'll go over and put a paw or give a lick. There's a sense that they have of wanting to provide comfort.
Yes, absolutely. So, is there something else you want me to talk about at this point?
Let's go on a little bit. We're going to go through a couple of more slides with some treasured photos, and then we actually have slides that show educational slides that show scientific studies that I've summarized. The health benefits of owning pets, the mental health benefits from owning pets, and towards the end, and children also. I want to focus on the benefits that children have, that having a pet in their lives, and the families with children and pets. And towards the end of the show, I do want to talk a little bit about, so are you ready to have a pet? If you don't already have one, what are some of the things to consider going forward? Okay, because a pet is not necessarily for everybody, and different people may have different interests or different likes, and that's okay. You just need to be aware of that and make proper selection. But we'll get to that towards the end. So, la próxima, por favor. So this is Kaz's baby. I don't know if I can call him a baby. It's a big boy. This is Kaz's American Eskimo dog, Icy. So Kaz, tell us a little bit about Icy and your interactions with Icy and what Icy does for you. What does she do for you?
She was 2 years old when we got her, when my family got her. She was a neighbor's dog. The neighbor had a lot of dogs, couldn't take care of Icy. The neighbor was planning on taking Icy to a shelter, and my younger brother, when he found out that the neighbor wanted to take Icy to a shelter, my brother brought her home, and we instantly fell in love with her. We've had her for 8 years. She's going to be 10 in November, this coming month. And right away, we fell madly in love with her. She is wonderful. She is so smart. She understands everything. We have to spell stuff when we're anywhere near her. She picks up on absolutely everything there is. And she's been so helpful to all of us. My family members, we all look forward to arriving home for her, to see her. We all want to get home to see her. And we have long days. All of us have long days, but we get back very late, but we all rush to get to her. She's so playful and therapeutic. And
well, how is she therapeutic? Because that's the part that I'm hoping you can sort of shed some light on to the viewers, because as I said at the beginning when I introduced you, it's a miracle that you're alive. I mean, I see you as a work in progress. You're a miracle in the making and a work in progress. And I know that Icy, was already you got Icy at a point in your life that your physical injuries were healed, but I'm pretty sure that the emotional impact of the major change in your life, because you never went back to doing the type of work you were able to do. You can't do that. You were not able to go back to doing the kind of almost professional weightlifting that you used to do. So it's still something that it's an emotional kind of development. We call it post-traumatic growth, by the way, for the viewers. How you grow, how you develop after a very stressful kind of experience. So you yourself said that. So what is it that she does to you that you feel emotionally at peace or emotionally comforted by having? I guess it's like an emotional comfort dog.
Yeah, she's stress relieving, anxiety relieving. No matter what kind of a day we have, no matter how hard, no matter how difficult, going to her, she just wants a hug and kiss and cuddle and play and run around. And no matter what we're going through, she's so stress relieving and anxiety relieving. She's a comfort to be anywhere near. She's a joy, a pleasure, and every one of my family members looks so forward to being with her and getting to her. And she's a great comfort for all of us.
You take her out for walks and things like that. So I'm going to guess that having her has made you physically more active as well.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the health benefits that we'll get into about owning certain kinds of pets, the kinds of pets that you have to take for walks or go out with, So that is something that it's led to you having more physical activity. Patti, you have any questions or comments on this icy thing?
Say again. The sound is. I couldn't quite hear you.
Anything to add to what Kaz said, or to what I said?
Yes, I was. When you were talking about how spending time with her is stress relieving, of course I identify spending time with my girls is stress relieving. But there's a lot of research out there about what happens physiologically between humans and dogs. Actually, petting a dog, loving on a dog can increase oxytocin in the body, which has been called the love hormone, and can decrease cortisol levels in the body, which is, of course, this part, cortisol is associated with stress. So I think it's interesting that we can talk about our experience of this, but that there's actually scientific data to demonstrate that being with a dog, petting a dog, cuddling with a dog has an impact both on the human and on the dog. It also raises the oxytocin levels in the dog and decreases the cortisol levels in the dog. So I think that's fascinating.
Okay. Oscar, por favor, slide 6. Few more cutesy, pretty photos to show you. So at the top, these are little trick-or-treating little doggies. Their mom, Maribel, was kind enough to dress them up and give me the photos before the show, but she actually was planning to take them out trick-or-treating today. So to the left is little princess her name is Princess, and she's wearing a princess outfit. And to the right, lady who happens to be wearing, I think that's a hot dog. I'm not sure. No, it's a meatloaf. That's what it is. Something like a meatloaf outfit. And that's lady. So that's Maribel's babies. And little birthday boy, Cynthia's birthday boy, Samuel, just celebrated a birthday. I forget which number. It was just last week, and Cynthia was nice enough to give me the photos. That is one of the smallest little toy Yorkies. It's like about 6 pounds. We have a little video clip. Are you able to show the little video clip? I just want to show you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
I mean, you can see what it's like. I mean, the love and the bond and the relationship that people have with their pets is like, it's amazing. A little Samuel, he was like wearing a little Superman outfit with his sunglasses like Clark Kent or whatever. But I thought that you might like to see that picture. I wanted to get a little bit now into some more of the actual research-related substance that I wanted to give the viewers, and Patti already opened up the door with a discussion of some of the biochemical changes. So let's take a look at slide 7. I'm going to read some of these things, and then Patti, I'm going to ask you to comment on them since you're very well versed in these. So at the top, I just wanted to mention to you also resources for pet lovers all over the internet. I mean, it's very easy. American Veterinary Medical Association, you're able to, go to their website, and you're going to get tons and tons of resources. But you can always look up things if you like turtles, you like macaws, you like different parakeets, different kinds of pets, hamsters. Just go on the internet. The resources that are out there. Also, veterinarians, you're able to get resources and brochures and references when you go to the veterinarians' offices. So I just wanted to share with you that there are approximately 72 million pet dogs and 82 million pet cats in the United States. And the so-called pet effect is the relationship, the interaction between people and pets that has a positive, benefit to it. People who have pets are healthier. We've already mentioned that. There is a reduction of stress, blood pressure, and a lowering of risk of cardiovascular disease, lowering of cholesterol level, fewer visits to doctors, approximately 24% reduction in all mortality. This was a study done by the University of Toronto. Also, for people who live alone, living alone with a dog research indicates in 33% lower risk of death. So there's something to be said about the companionship of having a pet. Walking dogs, which is what I was getting at before with UCAS and IC, results in increased exercise. I have a large backyard swimming pool area, so I go out with my dogs and I walk around the pool with them, and it increases my physical activity. Otherwise, I'd be more sedentary, except for going to and from work. So I think that that's obviously something beneficial. But I look forward to doing this. When I take them out, they're all smiling, running, jumping up and down, galloping across the yard. So it's exciting for them, and it's something that I look forward to. Owning a cat, for those who are cat lovers, reduces risk of heart attack by approximately 1/3. Now, we don't really have the resource or time to cover all sorts of pets. So for that, I do apologize for viewers, two viewers who are other kinds of pet lovers. But I'm pretty sure that beneficial effects of owning pets, goes above and beyond, being an owner of a pet or a dog. It's the bond between a pet and a human being. The pet is part of your family. And my understanding from the research also is that 98% of people who own pets consider the pet to be, that she is part of my family. They regard them to be a member of the family. That's pretty important. Patti, anything to add to those health benefits that I put up on the screen?
What was I going? Well, in terms of this reduction of the risk of cardiovascular disease, patting the dog, and I assume a cat, and I don't know, maybe patting the turtle would do something similar, but it lowers the person's blood pressure. So that's, again, a physical or a health benefit of having a pet. Most of this research, I think, Roy, has been done with humans and dogs and humans and cats, but I think it's very interesting to think about, does petting a turtle have a similar effect? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there's people I know that have rabbits, and rabbits are very dear to them, and
But
different
does the
kinds of
pet-
pets.
Does the pet have to be a mammal? Maybe not. Maybe what's more important is the bond that the human has with the animal, what the relationship is with the animal. Maybe that's the more important part rather than what kind of animal it is.
Well, certainly for somebody who's isolated, having a pet, that's your family. All of a sudden, you're a family of two, whereas before you were completely isolated, just by yourself. So all of a sudden, you're not as isolated. You have contact, increased comfort, and of course, you are more inclined to want to take care of that pet. So it inspires you also to do things to take care of your pet, and in doing that, chances are also good that you'll be taking better care of yourself. I've always chuckled and smiled when I've seen movies where you have like a homeless person, and the homeless person has a pet, and the pet is with the homeless person, and the homeless person's making sure that the pet eats, that the pet is covered if it's raining, that is warm. So it still goes to show the comfort level. It's my understanding also, I'm not sure if there's a physiological basis. I suspect there might be. But it's my understanding that the actual touching of the pet in and of itself has some sort of a curative value. So I don't know if that's a physiological kind of thing, sensory, something that's taking place at a sensory level that, of course, affects biologically, the body's chemicals. I would imagine maybe it does have something, but I did see research that talked that touching, the mere act of touching in and of itself has a positive health factor.
Yes.
Oscar, please slide 8. We're going to focus at some mental health benefits. Keep in mind that, health, your physical well-being and your mental health well-being, your emotional well-being go hand in hand. It's very difficult to be physically healthy and emotionally a mess. So they pretty much go in tandem. It stands to reason that you want to have good physical health and focus on your emotional well-being. Some of the mental health benefits on this particular slide. Again, we're looking at research. 3/4 of pet owners report improved mental health. Companionship, which is what we were just talking about moments ago. Reduced isolation. This decreases stress, decreases anxiety, and decreases depression. In children, you see a positive effect on social, meaning how they interact with other people, peers, adults, teachers in school. Emotional, how they are in terms of handling anger, sadness, anxiety, and cognitive development. Cognitive development is their ability to think, to reason, to problem solve, to use their executive functions of the brain. So you're seeing a positive effect in children. Children also grow up feeling more secure. They're bonding with an animal. They feel this is part of my family. I'm part of this animal's family, and vice versa. They feel a greater sense of belonging and security. They're also more active because they're going to be taking care of the pet, feeding the pet, showing the pet off, going outside with the pet, walking the pet. So there's more physical activity involving child and pet. They also are getting an early exposure to the responsibility for caring for a living animal, which of course is going to be very, very significant for developing healthy bonds and healthy pro-social interactions with peers in the future as they grow older and they grow up. Even here, I put at the bottom, hardened criminals in prison show changes after interacting with pets. So it's something that you see in places that you wouldn't even expect it. Let's look at slide. Patti, anything to add to these mental health benefits?
Not right now. I think that's a very good list.
Okay, let's look, because I left off with even criminals and people in jail, and they have programs. They have programs where they're raising or they're training dogs, or they're interacting with dogs, or the dogs are in kennels. They have to take care and clean the kennels and walk the dog, so that they melt. You know, you see these hardened criminals, and all of a sudden they melt with the pet. And they are not the only ones. Let's look at slide number 9, numero 9.
Roy, may I add something here?
Sure.
I think one of the, we know that exercise is helpful to decreasing people's depression. And I think one of the ways that having a dog can help with depression and anxiety is that in order to take care of a dog, it lends a structure to the person's life. They, like you were saying earlier, they have to get up out of bed. They have to take the dog out. They have to feed it. They have to walk it. And I think the taking care of an animal, having a dog or cat, lends a kind of structure that can help with people's it can be a mental health benefit for people.
Yeah, it's not something that necessarily takes place instantaneously. Like initially, it can be something, like, oh God, I have to walk the dog. Like, why me? It's not mine. I don't want it. You do it. You bought me the dog. You're older. You're the parent. You walk the dog. You take care of the dog. So it's not necessarily something that fits like a comfortable shoe at the beginning. And it's a process of evolving. You have the pet and the human being together are in some ways evolving together, and they're developing a bond. And after a while, they develop this dyad. They develop a relationship that has its definition. Right, and with the passage of time, it becomes something so important that they think to themselves, I don't know how I lived without it before. All of a sudden, it's something remarkable to them. So you can certainly grow into it. It's not an automatic thing.
Yeah, but the routine that develops of taking care of an animal, eventually, as you're saying, gets integrated into the person's life, and then it's part of your life.
But that routine with children and with young adults and young adults who are developing their professional skills and their repertoire, employment repertoire and curriculum vitae, this type of responsibility is also very good because it teaches them problem-solving skills. What is it that you need to do? You have to think ahead. What's the problem? What do I have to do? It puts you in a situation that you become more responsible, and you start taking steps and thinking about what it is in that particular area that you have to do. How is it that you have to go about doing it? And also accomplishing it is something that is very rewarding. So you feel good about yourself for doing it, and that self-reinforcement can carry you further in terms of how you grow and develop and expand socially, and I'd say in your interactions with not only pets but with people in general. So I see this as a win-win situation no matter what you do.
Yeah, I think kids learning to take care of pets, it can really help build their confidence.
Sure. Sure, and I think, and it also shows, that for the parent who's not too quickly irritable or too quick to critique and say you're not doing it right, but the parent who's patient and models the behavior and lets the child grow into it and just keeps a bit of a supervisory role. I'm talking a little bit like as a psychologist here, because this is from my psych background. I think that's instrumental, because then you as a parent are teaching your child aspects of developing responsibility and feeling good about him or herself in doing it, and that's a modeling of a behavior that is going to be very reinforcing, and down the road will set up milestones for the child to feel very comfortable, secure, and not inclined to feeling, oh my God, I'm a failure. Last thing that you want to do is have children grow up having these thoughts that I disappointed my parents, or I failed when I did this. You want to have a child feel, well, my parents were really with me. They were instrumental. My little dog Zoe, what can I say? Between the two of us, we did terrible. Look at the movie, The Purpose, A Dog's Purpose. I mean, what that kid and that dog did to that poor father. But they grew together, and it was like such an incredible and loving relationship. So, donning my spectacles as a psychologist, I do think that it does have a lot to do with shaping and modeling and being patient and kind, and not wearing thin. So like a parent who wants to buy a pet, thinking, I want my child to have a pet, that parent has to think, what's in the best interest of my child, what's in the best interest of my family, what's in the best interest of this pet that I choose, and how will this pet fit in? And not be too quick to say, hey, it's your dog, you do what you have to do. So it has to be a team. I think it's like a team owning and sharing and loving the pet. And that's how it's a team development that takes place. That's the message that I'm really trying to put out there. So let's look at slide 9.
The family really has to work together. If a family's going to have a pet, they have to work together to take care of it, and
sure. But the family also has to work together to take care of the children. So,
right.
And so don't forget, the pet is part of the family. So we're looking at family members taking care of the entire family. So I thought you might, some of my viewers may be aware of this. Some may not, but I mentioned it at the beginning. The National Football League, NFL, they have a comfort dog. So the San Francisco 49ers, they got a hold of this French bulldog that they called Zoe. They adopted Zoe. And here you see one of the players, Solomon Thomas. He was like one of the top draft picks, I think, for the 49ers. Actually holding Zoe. That's a photo of Solomon Thomas with Zoe. And I definitely want to compliment and commend the NFL for taking this action. I think it's really remarkable. And it shows that you have what I think many people would view as, you're talking about a tough sport. Tough players, they're rugged, they're strong, they're tough. It's okay to be aggressive on the field. And they melt. They melt with these little animals. They cuddle up, they get huggy, they melt with them, and they acknowledge. I've read a lot of the articles behind this, and they acknowledge how important it is, just to feel less nervous, loved, less anxious, less depressed. The bottom picture is ¿se puede ver? The New York Islanders. I'm an Islander. I live in Suffolk County. And New York Islanders, they've been my hockey team for a long time. So they actually have been doing this for some time. They help with America's Vet Dogs, so they actually are involved in helping to train future service dogs, and they actually make calendars. They do calendar shoots of dogs, and I believe that the ones coming out for 2020 is of pups. I believe that the issue's coming out, and it's of pups. So I have a little picture there of one of the New York Islanders' dogs. So that's really something. Also, in the news, and I saw this today, and I had absolutely no idea that this existed, but just to show again what people and the remarkable bonding between people and their pets, I heard that there are some pet grooming salons that now actually have come into existence super recently, where you have the pet and the owner groomed side by side. So you see human being here, pet here, and they're both getting their grooming. And I saw some video clips, and it was amazing seeing the dogs are being preened and they're posing as if they're movie stars, really enjoying it. I mean, enjoying the activity, and they're there with most likely mom. It's most likely the female owner that takes them to the grooming. So I wanted to share this as well to the viewers. So let's look at slide 10. We have a few minutes left, and I really wanted to focus a bit on this one before we do a wrap-up. Slide 10. Are you up for a pet in your life? If you already have a pet, fine. If not, are you up for a pet in your life? So these are some of the things we've already been looking at and talking about. Pets, like any other family member, they need attention, they need love, caring, proper nutrition, and tending to their health needs. It's a major commitment that you make when you take a pet into your family. It's not a fly-by-night decision. It's not casual. It's not because you saw this cute little thing, this cute little pet in a box, and you said, oh, I have to have it. And then you take it home only to ignore it or regret it or wonder why you did it. So it's a major commitment. Before you make the commitment to become a pet owner and for a pet to be part of your family, you have to think about it. You have to think about who you are, your living situation, where you live, who you live with, or do you live alone, family, your availability. Are you at work 20 hours a day, 6 days a week? Are you going to be available? These are some of the things that you need to consider. Will there be young children at home? If you're a man, is your wife presently pregnant? These are some things to consider before deciding to make a gift for Christmas, which is coming around the corner, and having a little box with a ribbon, and the child opens it up and there's a little puppy in it. That's not necessarily the best way to bring a pet into your family. So it does require some thought and planning. There are many foods. You have to be aware of what their nutritious, their dietary needs are. We focus a lot on dogs and somewhat on cats. Foods that are poisonous for dogs may not be poisonous for cats, and vice versa. I think that most viewers, if not all viewers, would know that chocolate for a dog is potentially fatal. You would not give chocolate to a dog. Giving a dog chicken bones, where the chicken bone will fracture, it can cause bleeding inside. You have these splinters, the chicken bone splinters. So there's things that you need to be aware of. You need to take, if it's a dog or a cat or a parrot, different kinds of pets. They have different veterinary kinds of needs. They need to go for their shots. They need to have their checkups and so forth. So this is something that you need to be aware of, and of course, there's a lot of literature, a lot of research. You go to any bookstore and you can find books on dogs, on pets, and even if it's dogs, you can find books on different breeds of the dog. So by all means, inform yourself and avail yourself. There's plenty of stuff that's out there. You don't even have to invest the money in purchasing the things. You can get the information for free off of the internet. Changes in behavior may signal a problem, and I know that I've spoken about this many times before with children. You have a child who's been going to school, relatively adjusted well. All of a sudden, the child doesn't want to go to school. There's behavioral changes, increase in crying, increase withdrawal from the family, perhaps becoming more aggressive, more isolated. Something's going on. So a pet, like a child, you'll see behavior. If you see behavioral changes, it's not necessarily, there's no problem here. A pet that's normally very friendly comes to the door, greets you, and all of a sudden, where's Waldo? And little Waldo decided to go to the bathroom and is hanging out with the lights off in the bathroom and hiding. Could be telling you that there's something wrong. So if you are up for having a pet, select the kind of pet you want to be a part of your family and you can love and care for. What you're going to get for it, your reward will be companionship, increased activity and involvement in your pet's life, and countless benefits to your health and well-being. So, puede sacar the slide. Patti, any comments to the viewers about pets, owning pets, taking care of pets, health benefits, mental health benefits, as we're getting ready to wrap up?
I really liked how thoroughly you talked about the considerations that a family or a person living alone can make when considering getting a pet, because it's not something to decide impulsively. And of course, when you see this cute little thing, it's easy to say, oh my goodness, I have to have that, I want to take that home with me. But caring for an animal over the long run, hopefully for its lifespan, is really, like you said, it's a major commitment. And I think people really need to not do it hastily. They need to give it a lot of thought, do their research, like you were suggesting. Different breeds are better for different people. One of the reasons I decided to invest my canine energy in Portuguese water dogs is that they're very athletic, they're very intelligent, they're a working breed, so they're very active. They need a lot of activity, and that kind of fits with my personality. I'm a very active person. I'm athletic. I like to swim. I like to run. Both of my girls run with me, which was not easy to teach them, but we now can safely run, usually without any of us tripping. But just that it's how big of a commitment is. I mean, when you think about humans when they're contemplating their first child or an additional child, I think most people give that some thought, and what is that going to mean for the family, and do we have room for another child? Do we have the money to afford another child? Well, I think similar considerations can be made about getting pets as well.
Well, we're talking about our emotional well-being and our emotional health, but pets, obviously, they have feelings too. I mean, my little Pookie, she jumps up and runs around when she's all happy and chases me and barks, and I know that she's happy. But obviously they have feelings. I think they also have dreams because they have little nightmares. Sometimes they wake up in the middle of the night yelping. So it's not something that you just say, I can't take care of this pet anymore. I'm going to give it to a shelter. I'm going to give it away. It's like, you don't think the pet's going to suffer? I mean, of course. The little dog or cat, cats perhaps less because they're a little bit more independent, but they're going to suffer the loss. They don't understand what happened, the abandonment, the separation. It's not like anyone's really able to explain to them, I can't take care of you anymore, or I don't want you anymore.
But Roy, I think that some people, hopefully it doesn't happen very often, but people don't really understand how big a commitment it is and what's involved in taking care of an animal. And sometimes I think people, they don't understand that until they actually start living with a pet. And for whatever reasons, it doesn't always work out. So perhaps it's better to rehome that pet at some point.
No, it certainly becomes more important to do that than to make the pet suffer.
Yeah, if it's just not working out.
Yeah,
but you're right. It's pets definitely have feelings.
Yeah,
too,
but don't think that it doesn't have emotional consequences. Although I do agree with you, if it's something that it's not meant to be, the sooner you realize it, and you've given it like an honest shot, or you've given it some sort of a fair trial period, then at that point, the sooner that you do it, the better. And if you can in some way be involved or be part of the transition to another home, I think that might ease things a little bit for the pet. So having, as an example, you're living in a studio in Manhattan, and it's impossible for you to be there at a reasonable hour to walk your dog, and your dog's alone all day long, and there's perhaps somebody in Westchester with a large backyard or a farm or access to more room, who's perfectly happy and content to take your little baby. That probably you're doing your dog a wonderful, or cat a wonderful service by doing that. Kaz, any parting thoughts or comments to viewers from La Tribuna Hispana?
Yeah, I'm so glad that we're doing this episode tonight with you, Dr. Aranda, and with you, Dr. Cox, and with Oscar being here, and Pookie, and I'm just so grateful that we're doing this. It's a great episode for the viewers at home. It's going to help them, I believe. I believe it's going to help them. It's been therapeutic to me just sitting here. And I've shown a few emotions while the filming was going on, serious and laughing and going back and forth. But it's such a great episode. I'm so glad to be a part of it, and I hope the viewers at home learned a lot from it. And I'm just so happy to be here tonight.
Well, Pookie was very happy to be a guest here also, right, baby? You were very happy. You interrupted your trick-or-treating to come for a TV show with Daddy. So hopefully we can make you as famous as Zoe. We'll get you all the exposure that you need. So again, I wanted to, Kaz, thank you. Thank you. This is your second time. Thank you for coming. Dr. Patti, thank you so much for being a guest. I learned a lot from you. I'm impressed with how much you not only know about not just your dogs, but dogs in general. But I had no idea that you were comparable to what about Bob in terms of swimming and going diving and stuff like that with Rory. I think that was.
No, it's really been fun, and of course this is a subject near and dear to my heart. So I'm very glad to have been included on your program, Rory, and so good to meet you, Kaz.
Same here, Dr. Cox. Same here.
Well,
and to hear about your wonderful relationship with Icy.
Oh, thank you, and I loved hearing about with your animals as well, and how wonderful the relationship there is as well.
So I'm getting the look that they're going to yank me out, but fortunately I have my guard dog here. She'll protect me. So at any rate, I wanted to thank all the viewers, and by all means, I think I always say to you, be safe. Por favor, banden con cuidado afuera. I'm always happy when you join us. I do hope that you get something of value from the shows. Feel free to contact me on any occasion that you have a question. Dr. Patti Cox, I believe you're easily accessible on the internet, so if people have any Is there a number you just want to quickly shout out for people to contact you,
Oh,
Patti?
sure. 212-252-4737.
Okay, and that's an office number. So
That's
again,
my office number.
the show's recorded, so feel free to look over the show. It'll be available tomorrow, as I mentioned, on Facebook, Vimeo, YouTube, and on Tribuna TV. I will see you next month in November. We have 2 more shows, always on a Thursday, 9 to 10 p.m. So again, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Patti, for being a guest. It's been a lot of fun. It was a fun show. And thank you, Cos. Thank you, Oscar. Okay? Un abrazo a todos. Saludos a todos.
Sigue en sintonía de nuestra programación.